to, because our warm-up scenario is 15 minutes. You know, you've got 6 kids or 7 if you're one an alternate. The kids that come with those grip dilemmas, all that goes where? They don't make the line. You don't have the time. You know, you get and now the pushers spend, when you leave ball, they start your time as soon as you arrive at ball. There's more and more, we're working more and more towards not giving folks very much time. I think if Nationals was 2.5 minutes between the event. You know, so you just don't have the time to go through those procedures. One thing I did with my kids with grips is I did a progression. With the Jack, again, Jack's mainstream. With my Jack kids, I put them in tape grip very early. Just a little, I'll show you how I made them. And I just got them used to wearing a grip as young as 7 years old. It's a tape grip, but it was a grip. And then some were, you know, transitioning to that, what would be 5, or you're starting to swing big. I got them into a beginner on the fingers grip.
Yeah,
no doubt originally, but up on the fingers, and then a down grip very shortly thereafter. But I did a progression. I wanted something on their hands, get used to it. I did have one kid in my career that did not wear grips. That just didn't work. What she did, same problem. Did a very mediocre this one. But that was, I wanted some kind of natural progression, and they had to have their gear on and ready to go. You know, I had kids laying a hollow body position on it with the grips on. That speeds them along. Or tuck and tuck out on and putting the grips on. I go, you can lay all your stuff out, but you're going to hold a hollow shape the whole time.
One of my favorite things to do is I would wear a watch with a stopwatch on it. Yours doesn't have that, but you know, typically we do that. And so the girls, over time, they began to realize when I was doing this. You know, and they knew either I'm timing when someone's not on the bar or something's going on. And one of the days I decided to try to educate them, and we had a girl, really good worker at the time, she was Alicia Musser was her name. And she ended up becoming an elite, really good worker. And in the course of 1 hour, and I would encourage our girls to cut in line, but do it nicely. But instead, if you're ready and she isn't, then just let her, come on, you know, we got to keep moving. Your parents are paying, you've paid for the time, let's get going, just don't be rude about it. But she would do that, you know. And of course, the lazy kids, we're glad to let her go. And how much time do you think she spent on the bar out of a 60-minute workout? And she was hustling.
6
How
minutes.
much actual time? And I would only count the set, I'd only time her, and then when she's off, I'd stop.
6 minutes.
I knew that. Not even 6 minutes.
I timed the kid and I had 4. I was thinking maybe she'd do a little more.
Yeah.
I timed the kid 4 minutes.
Yeah. She didn't make 5 minutes. And she was moving. She was not a lazy kid. Moving. I mean, it's, how good can she really get in a week? You know, with a half an hour of actually being on the bar. So again, it reminded me of having the appropriate expectations for that particular day and then that week, and setting that up so that I don't burn out, and then I get frustrated and I'm chewing on them and they're getting burnt out. And that's really the, because there's not a lot we can do about some of it. We're going to have time wasters. We will. And things will come up. But the key for you as a coach is to have them plan correctly what can you get done that day. So how many of you have a strap bar that you're able to strap kids in? Now we don't use the strap bar every day to strap kids in because it takes too long. But we will definitely know on this particular day, we're going to send 2 kids to there. So what we do is we know, Kirsten and Maggie, you're starting there. You go there now because you'll put your grips on later. So you 2 are starting there. You guys are here. In fact, with some of them, with our invert kids right now, every once in a while, I'll have them do some of the drills on the floor bar without their grips on. So they say, you know, you 2, let's go start the drills over on the floor bar. And after you're done with those, I want 10 turns of each of those drills, which you'll see. And then off you go. Then you can put, so we have some kids getting their grips on, other kids are already at their stations, and then we'll start rotating them through. Little things like that can help you really maximize your time. The other thing, though, that I've noticed with my younger staff is they're uncomfortable with girls standing and waiting, which I get, but there's an appropriate time, especially with your level 5s or 6s, that are transitioning to a little bit harder skills, to take the time to show the correct way to do things. And I told them, now at this point of the summer, that's when you do it. And so I'll see them because they also attended the boot camp, 2 weeks ago, and they have all these stations up, and the kids are trying to go through the stations correctly. They're not doing them right, so we're keeping them busy, but that's like babysitting to me. They don't really get, so I would say, listen, take the time to show them, this is what the drill's supposed to look like, because if we do that for maybe 1 or 2 weeks of the summer, that would be 3 or 4 or 5 days of their bar workout, they'll get it. Then when you start saying, okay, good, they'll know what's supposed to happen at those stations and do it better. And so it may mean for the first couple weeks of your summer or the end of their season, there's a little more standing around because you're trying to show them correctly. I think that's well-timed, that's time well invested, to me, instead of just keeping them busy. You have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely, because the quality of the drill is where it's at. What you do in that drill is very specific to the exercise. So the technical error in the drill, what are you drilling? The technical error. And so there's no point in doing it. And kids tend to do that too, by the way. They do a drill, and they don't think it's very important, so they slop through it. And then they move to the apparatus and they repeat the behavior. So one of the things I did I always would face my group, and I always had the 2 drills or 3 drills set up, and when it got to me where I was working the actual skill, if they haven't done the drill correctly, they got to pass through. You didn't do those drills right. And when you can do a better job, go on through next. And that was something I did as a consequence. Don't do the drill right, you don't get to do the skill.
We just bought some plastic things to hold our things on the wall, but I haven't put them up yet. So there's probably some of these pictures that are taped to the wall next to our floor bar. But one of the things, the handouts you have here is a whole bunch of different drills for your floor bar, with a wall and floor bar, just with a mat. So what we're doing, the reason why I put 2 to a page kind of this big is so that you can go and say, oh, I want that drill today, and I want that drill. So we throw it on the copy machine, go it through, and maybe we'll mark it, first, second, and we'll take that by that station so that the girls know, okay, these are the things I'm going to do at this station. Now, typically, like for example, if you guys went to like the second page, when you see a girl on one arm, typically pushing on one arm, I show a picture of what's wrong and what's correct. So we had to manipulate and to show them so they feel what's correct and what's wrong. So there's a picture of it to help them, but they at least know what that is, and so that they're trying to feel that. But we got to take them through that first. But that would be one of the drills. So this is a way, and I think most of them have a little thing, hold for a count of, do this drill X number of times, and notes and that kind of thing. We're going to head over to start doing the bar conditioning. But the other thing that you're going to see also on my office window is you're going to see a bunch of like little lesson plans. And I created this little character, because I'm just wacko that way, for the recreational bar thing. What we've done is I had this little character that I did in our program, and I just manipulated to show the different drills that we want. And on it, if you'll notice on your pages, the drills are numbered. They have little numbers. And the reason is the staff, I have a curriculum team, that there's a few of them for bars, a few for beam, a few for vault, a few for floor, a few for trampoline. And if you work for me, you're assigned to one of those teams. And they meet once every 8 weeks. And it doesn't take them very long. But they basically have this booklet, and I have it for every event. And they look through and say, well, what are the drills? What are we going to do for the next 8 weeks of gymnastics classes? And they'll write down, we want this drill, it's UB 2, we want drill number 7, number 8, whatever. They just write those numbers down, they get them to my program director. She goes in and basically copy, paste, it, you'll see it on our window, and paste them on there. So the staff now see, these are the drills that would be done for the next couple of weeks, 2 weeks. So we do 2 weeks we'll do these drills, it'll change. The next 2 weeks it will be these drills, the next week it will be these drills.
So you do the 2 weeks because your classes get there every other week?
We know that they'll get to that.
At least once?
At least once.
Okay.
We know they will, so they get to do that. And then so they basically created the whole 8 weeks of lessons, and we simply are only going up 2 at a time, for the next 2 weeks at a time. But I want you to take a look at that on the now, granted, those of you who, or you have staff that are good, they don't need it, I get it. But how many of you are hiring young people who are, yeah, we have some high school kids. Some of our prep op kids, they start when they're 16, they'll do birthday parties for us on the weekend. We get to see how they interact with kids. And some of them seem really good. We now start shadowing them into, with our better instructors, and we're developing our instructors that way. Every coach I have now, the girls, they were a gymnast of mine except for Kathy. But they were gymnasts of ours, either on our prep team or on our USAG team. And so they need a little more help. They need to know, I like the example of the guy from Home Depot. He's got the funny hat and the tool belt. You know, I wanted to create some character cartoon like that. The tools and the tool belt are the drills they know. And they just don't know enough yet. Right? So it's my job to teach them. Now, I can teach them how to spot the pullover or how to do a back hip circle, and that really bothers me when all I see them doing is pushing kids through skills and the kids don't have the right shapes. It drives me insane. I hate it. I hate it. And so I have these drills. I don't want them just spotting the kids through. I want them teaching the concepts and the shapes and proper positioning. And then I know the instructors that can do that. We find this. They're producing the kids that our team staff go, oh, we want her. We're going to pull her into the Gym Start program. We want her. We want her. Then we start noticing this coach is kind of consistently, we're pulling kids from her class kind of consistent. So who do you think is now on a fast track in my gym to start training to be a team coach? That kind of skill. Not because they can spot the skills, they're now understanding how to teach the drills and move kids through and identify shapes and encourage shapes. And you'll see it. You will see it happening if you have the kind of culture in your gym to give them the tools to do that. And that's how we find our staff that way. I mean, the reality is, how many times did the phone ring this week for kids to come to start classes at your gym? 100, 200, 300? How many of those phone calls was a person looking for a job? Maybe none. But here, I don't think anybody calls this week looking for a job. In the course of a year, how many people are calling looking for a job? Maybe in Southern California it's more. Here in Colorado Springs, not a lot. Not a lot. That class instructor is the most important asset I have. Not the kids. It's the coach. They're the greatest. I can't run a class without a coach. If I have 100 kids on a wait list, it doesn't do me any good if I don't have a coach. And so we found that we're losing coaches less because we're giving them more tools. When the young people came in, they feel overwhelmed. They don't like it. And next thing you know, they're having flat tires every other week, and they, whatever, all the excuses are coming out. And it's because they don't feel prepared, they're not confident. They're just not having a good enough experience to warrant the hassle of coming in for 3 hours on Monday evening. And this has really helped us to keep our staff much, much longer. Our turnovers dropped significantly once we gave them the cartoon book, basically, to help them. And then, of course, we do some training. We're doing training. And so if you guys work for me, probably one of the things I pay you extra for is every couple of, every other month, I'd hire you a little bit extra to do a spotting clinic with the newer coaches. And some of them I'll go through and say, you have to attend. And some will say, hey, you like it, you should probably do that. But there's some mandatory. And that's how we're having a better success with our coaches. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into the gym. So let's put our